Rural Americans deserve access to the best of what our country has to offer, especially health care. Across every state, every community, America's rural hospitals are the first line of defense, protecting our families, neighbors, and loved ones. No matter where you live, hospital care doesn't clock out. They're there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Each year, America's over 5,000 hospitals care for millions of patients, providing 24/7 emergency care, delivering babies, cancer treatments, and other life-saving care that patients rely on. Behind every one of those patients are doctors, nurses, and caregivers working tirelessly to keep people healthy and safe. Hospitals are our community's lifelines. They employ our neighbors and keep our families healthy. But now, some in Congress are threatening access to care. Tell Congress, protect patient care to keep America strong. Don't cut rural health care.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
And this is a horrific smear that we're seeing the mainstream media and politicians on the left, including Kamala Harris, take and run with. The facts are actually that this little boy was abandoned by his own father. His own father was being approached by ICE agents when he darted, ran, and abandoned the child. Our law enforcement, in these frigid temperatures, stayed with the child, tried to bring him into custody with the mother, who actually would not take the child into custody, which is so sad, so horrific. Our law enforcement officers actually were taking care of the child, brought him to McDonald's, were playing his favorite music to really calm him down. This is Asmark. There's major riots forming around our law enforcement officers. That is horrendous that the child is having to face this, but our law enforcement officers were taking care of him, and he's now reunited with his father in a federal processing facility.
It is already Friday, my friends. Welcome to the It's Already Friday edition of the Bo Snerdley Rush Hour, fastest hour in American media. We are watching the power of the unhinged left fake news media, the deliberate lies coming out of the mouths of politicians who either don't take time to find out the truth or don't care about the truth and are lying about it openly. We are seeing the lengths that people will go to protect their peculiar institution of illegal immigration. And you see it in mainstream outlets. You see it on television, on what used to be formerly great television networks. I'm not saying great because they had an axe to grind one way or another. Great because they used to at least care about the truth a little bit. They don't anymore. And all of that, you heard Tricia McLaughlin, and thank you, Carlos. He brought that soundbite to my attention. It wasn't even on our planned list today. And so we thought we'd lead off the show with it and let you hear it. We have others that will back that story up, but if you go to Axios today, ICE detention of child puts new focus on Trump team's tactics. Trump team's tactics. ICE agents' detention of a 5-year-old boy in Minneapolis this week has inflamed an already tense debate over immigration authorities' tactics, and put a spotlight on the unknown number of children being scooped up when their parents are arrested. Driving the news, they say, images of a boy wearing a small backpack and a light blue stocking cap fueled angry speculation in the Twin Cities that ICE was detaining children as bait to catch parents wanted for alleged immigration violation. So, if you listen to these people, ICE is somehow getting the children away from their parents. They just go and the parents are not around, they get the children and then they use the children as bait to try to lure the parents. Federal officials rejected those claims Thursday and alleged the boy was detained by ICE agents after he was left behind when his father, Adrian Alexander Cornell-Arias, fled officers who were trying to arrest him. The episode was a reminder of the growing number of children, likely hundreds of them, who've wound up in family detention centers with their parents during President Trump's push to deport immigrants, illegal immigrants. Let's stop right there for one moment. A few years ago, the left was in a fury because they claimed that parents were being separated from their children. How dare parents be separated from their children and held in immigration detention centers without their parents? And that was the cause of fury. And they pretended that this only happened when Republican presidents were involved. Trump during the first term. It goes back to George W. Bush. And never was the word Bill Clinton, never were the words the ACLU, never were any of those things Flores decision brought into it. So for those of you who don't know some of the history of this, let me just remind you of how this all came to be. It used to be, when picking up illegal immigrants, that their children were brought along with them to detention centers. Liberal Democrats had a cow. They claimed that children were being jailed, prisoners, being held in concentration camps, and the like. Outrageous allegations. So, back during the Bill Clinton years, I say Clinton because that's the way some Northeast liberals pronounce his name, Clinton. During the Bill Clinton administration, the ACLU jumped all over this, and with Bill Clinton, they came to a judicial decision, never law by Congress, but it was called the Flores Agreement. Flores. And what it said was you couldn't keep children in these detention centers past, and I don't have it in front of me, I believe it was 30 days. It's a number of days, might not be 30, but it was a set period of time. You can't keep these children in detention centers. So then, what happened? Then, the Obama administration and the Trump administration afterwards started finding places for the children to stay outside of the immigration centers. Now, while this was happening under Obama, nobody cared. Democrats didn't care. But when Trump came to office, all of a sudden, they started with their bullshit, with their stuff. They're separating the kids from their parents, which is the exact thing that liberals wanted and demanded happen. And now it became an accusation. They're separating children from their parents. Oh my, these people are so terrible. They're evil. They're separating. But there's an agreement that you liberals wanted to do this. But you're separating children from their parents. Okay. So Trump, being the compassionate one that he is, let's stop this. And so let's forget about this Flores decision stuff. Let's come up with new stuff. So now it's back to where it all started. If you get detained, you're on your way out of the country, the parents can keep the children with them. But that's not appeasing liberals. So they still argue They're kidnapping children. They're kidnapping children and forcing them to be with their parents. So either way, you can't have it. You can't separate the children from their parents. You can't keep the children with their parents because it's wrong. There is nothing that the administration can do to enforce the law of the land that the liberals don't portray as harming children. But this only applies to illegal immigrants. Every day across this land, people are arrested for crimes. They are taken to jail. The children don't come with them. They are separated from their parents. Or parent, whoever the criminal happens to be. Or the suspected criminal. People are innocent until proven guilty. So, it doesn't matter. You've had, liberals tell us, there are disproportionate amount of black people that are put in mass incarceration. Every time they so-called mass incarcerate some black guy or some black woman and they happen to have kids, they're separated from their family. Do the Democrat parties care about these black families? Do they care about the white criminals that are separated from their little white children? No. Do they care about the people all over the United States who happen to be United States criminal citizens who are separated from their family? No, they don't give a rat's ass about them. Because this is just standard effing procedure. But let it happen to an illegal immigrant. And they have more rights than you, according to Democrats. They shouldn't be separated with their children. Okay, we want to they should be separated from their children. How dare you kidnap the children? This is all such total 100% excrement. All of it. Every single day we get bombarded with this crap, endlessly. You have this obnoxious column by a guy named Philip Kennicott in the Washington Post today. The abhorrent power of the photograph of a 5-year-old held by ICE. An image like this could once change history. Can one still? And he's saying the picture, and he goes along with this whole thing, it's used as bait. This is an image of universal moral urgency, akin to a small number of photographs that once upon a time had the power to change behavior away from cruelty or indifference and in the direction of basic decency. Like the 1972 napalm image of a child running naked in the streets after an attack by U.S.-backed South Vietnamese forces. And by the way, that whole story has been twisted beyond belief from what it really happened, as we learned only 2 years ago. Kevin Carter's vulture and the little girl image of an emaciated and starving Sudanese child stalked by a hungry vulture is another. In the last Trump administration, a photograph of Salvadoran immigrant Oscar Alberto Martinez Ramirez and his nearly 2-year-old daughter drowned in the Rio Grande. They were coming into the country illegally. And this goes on and on and on. And the culprit, the people that are trying to defend this country are the ones that are taking the heat for all of these lies and all of this insane level of hysteria that the left is, and their TV networks and their print agencies are trying to stir up in this country to prevent the Democrats from losing their political power by deporting people who should have never been in this country in the first place. They never show you the pictures of the dead Americans who have been gutted, raped, murdered by illegal immigrants. Those pictures never make it into the picture. They're kids that are abused, who are sexually damaged and mentally damaged for life, never make it into the picture. We don't see those pictures because they don't want you to. And when those pictures are out here, they suppress them. We got to take a break.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The James Golden Show.
Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Bear with me, folks. This segment is going to be real short because the last segment I went so long. I'm so enraged over this. Look, folks, these are the same people that are crying and moaning now about these pictures. When we saw pictures, and they finally came from undercover, of what was happening in Planned Parenthood centers after these abortionists separated babies from their mother's wombs, then they decided to separate the babies themselves by carving them up and selling their body parts. And you know what these same liberals did? They sued the people that exposed it and tried to throw them in jail. These are the people who also pay no attention to the surgically damaged children that are used as drug trafficking by the cartels. They cut them, they put drugs in them, they get them across the border, cut them open again to take the drugs out. These people are the definition of evil. That's who they are.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The James Golden Show.
Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Oh, goodness. Marco Rubio, I just learned, has been from Lady Benedict just texted me. Marco Rubio has another job. He's the chairman of World Expo 2035. Can't make it up. Marco Rubio. Okay. Excuse me, folks. I've been lectured by Koki Duhaime. Koki, my thought police here. Koki is, would you please try to keep your calm? James, you can still get your point across. You need to just keep calm. Stop yelling. So, I'm sorry if I got a little, no, I'm not sorry, because this stuff is infuriating to me. It's infuriating. These people support ripping babies out of mothers and then ripping the babies apart and selling their body parts. And they want to preach to us about separating children from parents. They don't care when they're criminals. American-born criminals get separated from kids all the time. That's what you do. You separate. You go to jail. We're making every effort. I want you to listen to Marcos Charles, who is the assistant. And by the way, I think he's Hispanic, but it doesn't matter. Cut 5. He's the assistant director of ICE. I want you to listen to him tell what happened in this instant that these people are openly and brazenly lying about.
This week, ICRO conducted targeted enforcement operation to arrest Adrian Alexander Conejo Arias, an illegal alien who was released back into the interior of the United States by the previous administration. When officers approached Conejo Arias, he and his child were in a vehicle. Arias fled from law enforcement on foot, abandoning his child in the middle of winter in a vehicle. One of our officers stayed behind with that child while other officers apprehended his father. After conducting the arrest, my officers stayed with the child. They cared for him, took him to get something to eat from a drive-through restaurant, and spent hours ensuring he was taken care of. Again, my officers did that, not his father. My officers did everything they could to reunite him with his family. Tragically, when we approached the door of his residence, the people inside refused to take him in and open the door. Let me say it again. They saw the young boy and they refused to open the door and take him back. This is the human side of the job that my officers do. They are family men and women. They have children of their own. They sacrifice everything for their families. I know for a fact that they were heartbroken to see the child's own family leave him behind. Fortunately, Conejo Arias eventually requested that his child stay with him. We do everything in our power not to separate families. So they took him back together to Minneapolis, here to the city, to the ICE facility for processing, and now they are being well cared for at a family residential center, pending their immigration proceedings. This is the real face of ICE, ERO, Border Patrol, and our allied partners.
Now, you have people like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and others. You heard Kamala Harris. You heard the whole Democrat machine is getting on top of this. And this idea that ICE used him as bait, what they're talking about is when they tried to return the child to his mother. They're saying they were using the child as bait. No, they're trying to get the child back to. These people are evil liars. And they don't care who they smear or who they lie. And let's just remember why they're doing it all. Never forget why they're doing this. They're doing this so that they can hold on to their political power. They're doing this so that they can use your taxpayer money to fund all their lavish schemes, including all these fraud schemes that are popping up, not just in Minneapolis, as Mr. Newsom says, but everywhere else, and mostly so that they can retain seats in Congress by padding their states with people that are not citizens of this country. And these poor people at ICE are being defamed on a daily basis. They're being harassed. They're being spit on. They go in places to eat like Speedway, which I'll never walk in another one unless they apologize to ICE. Speedway, owned by 7-Eleven in Minneapolis, decided that they wouldn't serve our federal ICE agents. Yeah, I'll never go in another one. I'm not saying what you should do. I'm not calling for a boycott, because I don't do that. I'm just not going in one. And if 7-Eleven, their parent company, doesn't get with it, I won't walk in any of their little shops either. This is ridiculous what's going on in this country. All these people are trying to do is enforce the law, something that Democrats refuse to do, and they are being smeared at every turn. They are being turned into horrible. The image of them is being turned into monsters, and they are not monsters. They are people that love their country, that are trying to enforce the laws of this country. If you don't like the laws, change the laws. Don Lemon, play it. Let's just get this over with.
Look, I stand proud and I stand tall. This is not a victory lap for me because it's not over. They're going to try again, and they're going to try again. And guess what? Here I am. Keep trying. That's not going to stop me from being a journalist. You're not going to diminish my voice. Go ahead, make me into the new Jimmy Kimmel if you want. Because I'm not going anywhere, and I'm going to believe the same things whether you want to, whatever. None of this is about justice. This is about power, and it's about people who are incompetent.
Yeah, I agree with him on one thing. None of this is about justice. Play cut 7. None of this is about justice. None of what happened is about justice.
Yeah, Bill, good morning to you. Around negative 28, 29, 30 with the wind chill right now. But those 3 individuals who were arrested were some of the organizers of that anti-ICE protest at the church. But Fox News has learned that a federal magistrate judge shot down multiple arrest warrants that the Justice Department tried to get for other individuals who were also involved in that protest, including former CNN anchor Don Lemon. Sources confirmed to Fox the magistrate judge who blocked the warrants is named Douglas Miko, and his wife works as an assistant attorney general in Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison's office. A source close to U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi tells Fox the AG is enraged at the magistrate judge's decision and says DOJ is still pursuing charges against additional individuals related to that protest.
Yeah. So, yeah, the judge who shot it down, his wife works with Keith Ellison. The liberals. Now, there's a move in Congress right now that the Speaker of the House, Johnson, has agreed to. It's time to impeach some of these liberal activist judges. If this guy's decision is not legally sound, put him on the list. Okay? Next. By the way, they don't stand for this kind of crap in Florida. Cut 4. I like this guy. He's one of the great sheriffs in the state of Florida. His name is Grady Judd. He makes videos a lot. He came on with this one from inside of a church.
Hello, everyone. Sheriff Grady Judd here. I'm standing in a house of worship, and I think about last weekend in St. Paul, Minnesota, where people who came to worship were attacked. They were attacked by rioters. The service was disrupted. They cut at the very fabric of this great United States of America. We settled this country so many years ago so we could worship free the way we wanted to in whatever house of worship we chose. That attack is unacceptable. I can assure you that had that attack been in this community, every one of those rioters would be in jail today. That's where the federal government could have found them, on state charges, locked up. And I pray it's that same way all across the United States of America. Enough is enough. Let's join together for the good of the United States of America. Let's worship the way we want to, and let's everyone renounce the horribleness of last Sunday in St. Paul, Minnesota.
Yeah. Now, let's move on out to Arizona. You have an attorney general there. Her name is Chris Mays. Folks, I don't think some of you are going to believe what you're about to hear. Let's play Chris Mays, cut 15, who's a Democrat attorney general, one of them in the state of Arizona.
Bram, is that we're a stand your ground state. We have one of the most expansive stand your ground laws in the entire country that rivals even Florida. We also have a lot of guns in Arizona. We're a gun culture in this state. And, it's kind of a recipe for disaster because you have these masked federal officers with very little identification, sometimes no identification, wearing plain clothes and masks. And we have a stand your ground law that says that if you reasonably believe that your life is in danger and you're in your house or your car or on your property, that you can defend yourself with lethal force.
This woman is actually, she seems to be advocating that people stand their ground against ICE agents because they have a lot of guns out there. This is the Attorney General. This is a recipe for disaster. Now, she may say, and I expect her, if she's questioned, say, I wasn't advocating. This sounds like to me that she's advocating that people start shooting up ICE agents. She's the Attorney General of the state. Now, maybe she's not. And maybe I'm hearing this wrong. But it sounds to me like she's saying that there's some legitimacy in people using stand your ground to defend themselves against federal ICE agents. And if that is the case, she needs to be removed from office. This is insanity. It's insanity, folks. Now, we have stories I can't get to today from Maine. California man arrested for stealing millions. We have a case in Florida. A guy with mental illness released from jail. And you should hear, I'm going to have to do this tomorrow. You should hear the AG in Florida. Her name is Monique Worrell. 3 people killed. She's the one that set the arrangement to let this guy walk out of jail, provided he gets some mental health help. Ends up killing 3 people. I can't get to that today. We don't have time for that. I'm going to do tomorrow morning, God willing, we're here and you're with us. We can get into a lot of this stuff. There's another story. Don't have audio for it. Just want you to hear it. The same people from the left. Listen to this, folks. Florida nurse. Now, you know I love nurses. Love nurses. Advocate for nurses all the time. I'm not advocating for this one. Florida nurse fired after vile TikTok rant targeting pregnant White House press secretary Caroline Leavitt. Florida hospital terminated a nurse, said she hoped White House press secretary Caroline Leavitt gets severely injured during childbirth. She said on her post, as a labor and delivery nurse, it gives me great joy to wish Caroline Leavitt a 4th degree tear. Her name is Lexi Lawler. She was a nurse at the Baptist Health Boca Raton Regional Hospital. I hope you effing rip from bow to stern and never normally again, you C-word. If you didn't follow all the initials, she's hoping she gets a rip and she will not be able to, number 2, ever normally again, you C-word. And this is what she posted. This nurse by the name of, what is her name one more time? Lexi Lawler. You tell me these leftists are not losing their minds.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. James Golden Show.
Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
I just saw a picture of Sparkle Beach Ken. I just sent it to to Nursey Nurse, who, by the way, just called me, just texted me about how disgusting this is. Now, you know, Scott Bessent yesterday just was off the chain funny. He outdid himself today. This is Scott Bessent today, talking about Gavin Newsom, who he has already dubbed Sparkle Beach Ken.
I think Gavin Newsom may be cracking up with some of these things he's saying. I think he may be in over his hairdo. And being on the national stage is very different than being governor of California with no signature achievements. But to say strange things like President Trump is a Tyrannosaurus Rex. What the hell does that mean? You know, I could say Gavin Newsom is a brontosaurus with a brain the size of a walnut. And if you brought the knee pads, maybe that was for his meeting with Alex Soros. I don't know.
Oh, he is just dishing it out. Anyway, very, very... Gavin Newsom is in over his hairdo. That deserves to be a campaign ad. And I just saw the picture of Sparkle Beach Ken. And I gotta tell you, there's a resemblance. If you haven't seen Sparkle Beach Ken, but he doesn't have knee pads in this one. I don't know.
Thanks for listening to The James Golden Show. You can hear The James Golden Show Saturday mornings at 7. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder,
what the heck is going on here?
Listen to this podcast now on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The Idea Gen Global Podcast with George Sifakis.
I'm George Sifakis. In a world overflowing with noise, there is one forum where the world's smartest voices connect, where visionaries sit at the same table as innovators, and great minds don't just talk, they act.
Download all of Red Apple Media's podcasts right now through your favorite podcast platform.